Hey everybody, let's do another question and answer session here. I have a lot of good questions that people wrote in through our YouTube channel, also emails and phone calls that I received, and questions from students off-site that I teach in other states. So here are some of the questions that people have asked us, some really good ones this month. I'll try to do my best to answer them as concisely as possible, and if I don't have the answer, I'll try to find them. One question from someone on YouTube named Arjun from Mumbai. He asks, what is the difference between a bow staff, a jo staff, and a hanbo? Arjun, a bow staff is a 6-foot staff, a piece of wood, and a hanbo is a half staff, which is 3 feet in length. So this is a hanbo, and this is roughly 36 inches in length. If a bow staff is 6 feet, half of that, which is what han means, H-A-N, is 3 feet roughly, although Japanese use shaku to measure things. So bow, 6 feet, stick, hanbo, half stick, half staff. And then a jo staff is the middle brother, which is anywhere from 4 to 5 feet. So you have the big brother, jo. Now, the big brother, bow. I have a bow staff that's nearly 7 feet in length because I think 6 feet is too short if you're over 6 feet tall. You want the bow staff to be about 5 or 6 inches over your height. That would be optimal. And Japanese people were much shorter, so a 6-foot bow to them was good for someone who is 5'2" or 3" or something like that. For me, a bow staff is minimum 7 feet tall. However, the average bow you're going to find on Amazon or eBay is 6 feet tall. The middle brother is jo. He is 5 feet, 4 feet, somewhere around there. And then the little brother is han. Han is the little brother, hanbo. He's about 36 inches. Although I like a hanbo that's about 40 to 42 inches, again because I'm bigger and taller. So a 3-foot stick for me is a little bit short. So Arjun, that's the difference. It just depends on the length of staff that you have. You have to assume on the battlefield that if you had a spear or a naginata, if it was cut, the head of it was cut off, you might have a bow staff. If more than half was cut off, you'd have a jo staff. And then if the thing's cut right in half, all you have left is a piece of your handle to deal with, so that's a hanbo. And you want to be proficient in all the different lengths of weaponry. Cam asks, do you wear ninja hoods when training outdoors? Cam, we don't wear ninja hoods. That's something that you see in movies and books that just isn't accurate. Can you imagine someone walking around with a ski mask on, some sort of robber wearing a ski mask? Would he blend into society? The answer is of course not. So a ninja, so to speak, if he wanted to blend in and be stealthy, would never wear a mask because you would stick out like a sore thumb and you'd be immediately arrested. So I think that the mask and the costume of the ninja came in the kabuki theater much later. I don't see much historical accuracy to a mask of the ninja. Now, they may have worn a face piece to keep their identity covered at night. That's possible. Again, none of us were there to know. And obviously the mempo of the samurai yoroi armor is covering the face to hide identity and to make people look more scary. But we don't wear masks. We don't do the stealth training much anymore because people don't really care about it. It's kind of a lost art, so to speak. But as far as I know, the ninja mask and the uniform and the black ninja suit is all stuff made up 17th century and over. In the kabuki theater, the people that used to change the furniture around on stage between the acts of the play would wear masks and stuff to keep themselves from being seen by the audience. That's probably where it comes from. Billy the Kid from Spokane, Washington asks, what books are you currently reading? Do you read books to your students? Billy, I don't read books to my students because when they're here to train, they probably want to physically train. We do philosophy and we talk about philosophy, but I don't often read to the students because they would be bored out of their skulls. It's something they can do on their own. The books I'm currently reading, I'm reading a book on Toshitsugu Takamatsu, who was Masaki Hatsumi's teacher, by Wolfgang Edig. That's a good book as far as the history of Takamatsu. Most of it I don't believe, because I know that in notorious martial arts people make a lot of stuff up, or if the story is half true, most of the times when you're writing a book or you're making up this character like Takamatsu, a lot of it is completely made up or at least exaggerated to the point where, you know, so it sounds more cool. Now, there are a couple of articles in that book that I do think are quite accurate, but who knows? We weren't there, so we just have to take it for the author's words. I'm also reading 12 Rules for Life, which is a great book by Jordan Peterson right now about how to get through life in a positive way, how to take responsibility in your life. I love reading self-help books by whoever the current guru is, and that book is very, very good as far as a strategy for how to become more happy in life and just how to get your life in order, which we all need to learn from. Brian Jenner asks, how is running a school different from running a training group or a small club? Brian, they are extremely different. Throughout my years of training, I have been in training clubs, I've been in training schools, I've been in groups, I've been in garages, basements. Running a school is extremely difficult. It's the highest level of martial art teaching as far as running a business. When you have a training group, it can be hard enough with just 4 or 5 friends that meet in your basement or in your garage, because you'll have different personalities come in. But when you're running a school like I do with several hundred students, it's very, very difficult. You have to run all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that no one sees, as well as teach all the classes. You have an unbelievable amount of stress due to bills and paying the rent wherever you are, liability insurances, credit card bills, supplies, you name it. All this stuff has to come into account when running a business. Now, I know many people who are very good martial artists but actually lousy business people, and that's why a lot of their dojos have folded up within a year or two. So you can be a brilliant martial artist, but some people are just not meant to have schools and be a leader. They're good with 1 or 2 students, but when you start getting into hundreds of students, it's a whole other ball game that we could do 10 hours of video on. Anyone out there who runs a school knows how hard the challenge is and how most dojos, as well as most businesses, fold up in the first 2 or 3 years because finances are just too hard. We've been doing this for 12 years here, and I taught at other large schools for about 20 years before this one. So we are successful here because of what I've learned over the years. I've had a lot of failures, and I learned to fail upward. And we are successful here because we have a wonderful group of training people, all kinds of great families that come in. We have students that come from far away to train with us. We have a very good product, and we have a very good positive environment for which people can train and feel safe. So running a school is very different. If you're out there, start small, start with a training group, and then if you want to build a dojo from there, be careful where you rent, because the rent will be much higher in a commercial property. You might want to start in a warehouse or somewhere where the rent is cheaper. But talk to people who have a school. Talk to people who are successful, who are doing it, and that's the best place to start to learn. Richard D'Angelo writes, "Good day, sir. Love your channel. I kept going back to the part of your tour that showed the wooden tiles that display your students' progress. If you don't mind, how did you come up with that? I would love to utilize something similar in our dojang." Richard, we have a system where each new student has their name on a stick or a tile. Their name is on there with the photo of them, their first day of training. We take a picture of them when they get their white belt. And that's kind of a tradition in this art. I've seen other arts do it. In Japan they do it, but they don't usually put a picture. The idea of that is just to go back and look at when you started, so years and years later you can check your progress. and to see how young you were when you started, how much of a newbie and a greenhorn you were, and some of the kids that are 5, 6, 7, 10 years older than they were, when they're feeling down about their training or they're having a hard time, they go back and look at that photo and that stick and they remember how far they've come, how much they've progressed and grown over the years. And it's really cool to see you start at white belt and move your way up to black belt and then the several degrees above black. And I have students on the top row that have been here 11 plus years, 10 years, and to see how young they were and how much older they are now, more wise, is just a wonderful thing to do. In America, people like stuff like that, and I agree with it, that you can show where the students start and how much they've grown. So there's no mystery involved. It's very clear, and it's a great way to inspire people to continue their martial art training, to know how far they've come. You can do that in your school. Just get some wood, hang it on the wall, take the student's picture, write their name on it, and then see how they progress. Move it up for each belt, peg to peg. Emma in Austin, Texas asks, why don't we see more women in martial arts? Emma, that's a great question. I don't know. We have several very powerful women that train in our dojo here. There's a stigma with martial arts that it's a male-dominated sport or activity. Now, there are great females in every martial art if you look for them. I don't know what it is, why there aren't more women training. Could be a fear thing. It's quite intimidating to walk into a dojo where it might be 90–95% males. To come in and train takes a lot of bravery, a lot of strength. I wish more women would train, because this martial art in particular that doesn't utilize a lot of strength, it uses body mechanics and intelligence. Women are perfect for taijutsu and budo in general. Women tend to be better at martial arts because they don't use strength, because they're better at remaining calm in battle. They can use the weapons better, they have better flow, better nagare. I wish more women would train in martial arts. It's fantastic for building self-esteem, for feeling confident, and for learning how to succeed in life and to deal with some of the men that are out there at work that might be preying upon you or doing things like that. So I encourage more females to train in martial arts as much as possible. We need more feminine, positive, heroic role models in all martial arts. So Emma, you're in Austin. I suggest you find a school near you and get that black belt and stick with it. Will asks, is the katana better for slashing or stabbing? Will, it's good for both. The katana, because of the curvature of the blade, is good for slashing. So with the curve of the blade, it's very good for cutting flesh. I know that's gross. If the samurai was wearing armor, which they did for many hundreds of years, the katana would be more for stabbing in the holes between the armor, the chink in the armor, so to speak. When armor stopped, because the warring state stopped and people started to wear soft clothing, then it was shortened and made much more as a slashing weapon. But the katana is a beautiful weapon because you can ski and pierce with it, or you can cut and slash with it both. So the answer is both. It really depends on who's wielding it, what the armor is of the person you're defending yourself with, what kind of blade it is. Is it a cheap blade? How sharp is it? How long is it? The curvature of the blade, is it a straight blade? Too many questions to answer, but the short answer is it's better for both. It's an all-around wonderful tool. Stephen Chow in Los Angeles writes, do you know who Anthony Cummings is? What are your thoughts on his books about the current Grandmaster not being the real Soke of the 9 schools of ninjutsu? Yes, I know who Anthony Cummings is. I've read a few of his books. I think they're pretty good. I don't know him personally. I know that he's controversial because he doesn't see the history of the Bujinkan as being accurate. I don't know the truth. I know people on both sides of the argument, and they will of course stick with their tribe and their preconceived notions. I think anyone who shines light on history is good, because a lot of history is BS and made up by the current people or anyone. So anyone who can throw in truth about the history and say, show me your evidence, I agree with, because that promotes critical thinking. I don't know if Anthony is correct. I don't know the answer. I'm not a historian and a scholar like they are. So my loyalty is to whoever I find is telling the truth, and I just don't know the answer. But yes, I have a few of his books, the Shoninki, the Bansen Shukai. I have a few of those books, and I do like the fact that he is writing and taking these historical ninja scrolls and things and putting them out there, at least translating them for us to read, because a lot of that stuff was hidden to the West for many years. Let's see, Wick John 5667 writes, "Are you Bujinkan? I saw Arnaud Kuzerg teaching at your school." Wick John, or I'll call you John Wick. Our school is not Bujinkan, although I have ranking in Bujinkan, and I do teach it on Wednesdays. Yes, Arnaud Kuzerg was here. He's a friend of mine and one of my teachers. He is a Daishihan, one of Masaki Hatsumi's best students, and I had him here last month for a great seminar. He's a great guy. I've learned a ton from him. I also have teachers in Toshindo, Aikido, Karate, other types of martial arts. So our school here is not affiliated with any organization. We are by ourselves. We have not burned any bridges, so we're friends with everybody. I have teachers in many different martial arts, and I welcome all of them. I believe it's arrogant and terrible to be politicized where you badmouth one style and become a tribalist where it's your way or no way, and then you start to tear apart other teachers and other styles. I do not agree with that sentiment. And the reason why my school is so successful is because I don't burn bridges and I take in teachers from all different martial arts. I don't care what you show. If you show me something and I can learn from it, I admire you and I want to learn from you. So as far as is it Jinenkan, Genbukan, Bujinkan, who cares what it is? It works, and I steal from everybody, and I use techniques that are practical, and I discard that which is not. And yes, I support the Bujinkan and everyone else. For me, life is too short to be politicized. I just want to train and be successful and happy, and I want my students to feel the same. So we keep politics off the mat. It's very important. St. Oliver writes, "What is your opinion of MMA? Do you watch it?" I like MMA, St. Oliver. Mixed martial arts have really awakened the old styles to make sure that what they're teaching is practical. And I take stuff from the MMA, which is basically old style jiu-jitsu, modernized. I don't watch MMA. I find it's just unappealing to me. I don't like to watch that kind of violence on television, and that's a sport, and I'm not into the sport arts. I'm into the fighting arts, the self-defense arts. However, I do like MMA. I respect it. I respect the teachers. They're fantastic athletes, and they really keep us sharp in our ground game. MMA has done a lot for martial arts. It's a bubble like anything else, so it's spiked in popularity. It will go down again. Something new will come. Before MMA, we had the Bourne supremacy, and Steven Seagal was big in the 90s, the ninja boom in the 80s. You had Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee in the 70s, Kung Fu in the 70s and 60s. All this stuff is a give and take, an ebb and flow. Martial arts come and go. So MMA, I like it. I like it a lot. Minnie336, do you watch Naruto? I do not read or watch comic books, Minnie. And I see some jokes on our website and our YouTube channel about Naruto, about the, what is it, the 8 gates or the 9 gates. And I laugh at that, but I know nothing about Naruto. I don't read comics. I never got into comics as a kid, so I don't know anything about Naruto. I know he's a ninja guy. I'm sure 90% of the stuff in comics is not true, and what we do is realistic training. It's not fantasy based. And if you are a comic book reader and you expect to come into the dojo and find Naruto stuff, you will be sadly disappointed, because what we do here is very difficult, very hard training, and all of the fantasy goes right out the window the first week of training. So I don't watch Naruto. John Slobodnik writes, do you guys have a link you could share? It looks like your standard uniform is very comfortable, especially the footwear. John, yes, you could check out any martial art retailer online, like Amazon sells, type in GI gi, karate gi. Yeah, they're comfortable. I go through Century Martial Arts, that's who I order from. There's Asian World, there's a bunch of them out there. Just go to eBay or Amazon and you can find uniforms to your liking. Black, white, blue, MMA uniforms, ones with pockets, ones without. The footwear we wear are called tabby boots. I wear tabby boots a lot, actually more than anyone I know. I wear them 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then I wear them 5 or 6 hours on Saturday. I wear outdoor tabby, jika tabby with the rubber soles. I wear indoor tabby with the cotton soles. I also wear wrestling shoes. I wear socks, anything to make your feet comfortable. I like the idea of wearing different types of shoes when you train, because if you're barefoot all the time, it's a very different feeling than when you're standing in a wrestling shoe or something with a raised heel. But yeah, John, you can order that stuff on Amazon for all different prices. Wanderblade asks, I had a question. What is the difference between an Odachi and Itachi when it comes to the pros and cons in war for samurai? Let me get to that question in a minute, Wanderblade, because there's another question that deals with blades, and I'll explain it all in a minute. So I'll come back to you. Mafioso Godfather writes, what's the difference between a katana and an uchi-katana? I saw that you had no uchi-katana in your video, and I was wondering if there was a difference between them. All these names, you guys, uchi-katana, tachi, odachi, it's all semantics. It's all periods of time that they would call their swords different things depending on the period, the type of sword, the length, how you carried it. But don't get caught up in the words. I care about if you know how to use this thing, not what it's called. The uchi-katana means strike sword, and that's the same as a katana. It's just semantics. It was used by the foot soldiers in a period of time, and then they changed it from uchi-katana to katana. It evolved into the katana a bit later in history, so don't worry about these names. The Odachi, the large great sword, and the Nodachi, which was a field sword, also called Seoedachi, which means a across the back sword. Those were older types of swords from Japan, earlier period of time that they would wear on horseback. The tachi, the long sword, would be carried with the blade down, suspended from your belt on the horse so that it could move while you're riding your horse and you could draw it easily. Then eventually when they stopped riding horses, the blade went up in your obi belt and it was called a katana. Then the blade was shortened, the handle was shortened, the curve was less. They signed the tang differently. All these little pieces over time. Think of swords as evolving over time like languages do. You know, when did Greek become Spanish, or all these languages that melt together? It's the same way with any historical artifact. Swords melted together in times and name. The tachi is older than the katana. From 900 to 1500s was the tachi, and then after was the katana. Most people nowadays don't carry tachis or odachis, the big swords. They carry these small katana because they're much more manageable and they're more easy to deal with and to wield. It makes no sense to carry a 6-foot battle sword anymore. It's a good question, but again, don't get caught up in the names. They're meaningless unless you can use the tool. Xanderbluff asks, why do you add philosophy on your channel if it is labeled a martial arts channel? Xander, because we are a martial art channel, if I don't watch YouTube channels that are just about technique because I find that very boring. Martial arts is about depth. If you study war martial arts, not sport, but war martial arts, there's tons of philosophy in there. Xander, ask yourself, what's the chances of you being attacked between now and the time you walk out to your car? Probably 0 or 2%. Xander, what are the chances that you're going to have anger in your day, frustration in your day, people attacking you mentally, psychologically in the day, bad days at work, depression, sadness? 90% every day. So philosophy, we study it in here, we meditate in here. You have to have the mental with the physical. You do not have the complete picture of martial arts. All the great warriors of the past, all the masters, had philosophy built in. There are books and books on it behind me. They wrote poetry, they used the sword, they killed in the battlefield, and they did flower arranging. They had the yin-yo, they had the yin-yang. They had soft and hard built in. You cannot have one without the other. There was no dualism between the art of war and the art of love and peace. And you must, in my opinion, add philosophy into your martial arts to make it whole and with depth. If you do a sport martial art and your teacher just has you doing physical stuff and drills from point A to point B, you are going to get very bored very fast if there's no depth to it. You want a martial art that is deep and old and that can withstand the tests of time and that can aid us in this very difficult life which is filled with hardship and suffering. So Xander, you are going to continue to see philosophy on this channel because that is my channel and that's what I want to put up. Andrew writes, thanks for your video on responsibility. It really helped me in my depression. Thank you, Andrew. That's exactly what I meant by the last question. Hopefully a few of the videos that we put up help people. That's the purpose. I don't make money off of this. The videos are to help other people as martial art helped me. So thank you, Andrew, and I hope you continue to be happy in your life. Eberron asks, where can I get your DVDs? Do you stream classes? Eberron, we do not stream classes currently. I have no plans for that on the website. Maybe in the new website when we get it finished we'll do some streaming stuff, but we don't have any sign-up online streaming. We don't do Twitch. We have 6 DVDs out right now and you can find those on eBay. Just type in, for instance, the Dojo martial arts on eBay or one of the titles like Striking the Tree or Ground or Throw Defenses or Ninjutsu Tap Outs, The Warrior's Mind. There's a bunch of DVDs on eBay that you can order if you're really interested. Or send us an email through our website, thedojoinc.com, and we will mail you out DVDs wherever you live in the world. But no online streaming. Sarah in Cork, Ireland says, love your talks and style. Who inspires you? Do the students, teachers, a sense of urgency? So who inspires you in your life? Sarah asks. Sarah, the people that inspire the most are my students because I see them every single day. So kids from age 6 to 70, all of them inspire me every day to keep going, to get better, to continue the dojo, to serve our community, to keep me upbeat and happy, to give my life purpose and meaning. So Sarah, to answer your question, the students inspire me the most. My teachers of different martial arts inspire me. Having a sense of urgency in life inspires me. Life is short. Time is always running out. We could die at any moment. And I want to live each day as best I can. And I want to surround myself with good friends and positive people in my life. I don't have the time or the patience for politics or people that are toxic in my life. I am inspired by everyone around me, Sarah. And that's the key, is to surround yourself with people who inspire you, not people who tear you down. Good question, Sarah. And hello to Ireland. Luke in Zagreb, Croatia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Luke. Zagreb, Croatia. He asks, have you ever seen Budo in movies? Do you like their moves? Have you seen the Black Panther? Luca, I don't see much Budo in movies nowadays. There is some in older movies that I've seen. There aren't many good martial art movies out there. Let's face it, most of them are crap. The last good martial art samurai movie I saw was 13 Assassins, which was several years ago. Great movie. As far as Budo, anything by Kurosawa, Seven Samurai, any of the older movies, Zatoichi movies with Shintaro Katsu, anything with Toshiro Mifune in it is going to be really good. You know, some of the early Seagal movies, I like the Aikido in that. I thought that was really good. I've seen some things in John Wick and Jason Bourne movies that were inspiring. A lot of it isn't practical, but a lot was. I have not seen Black Panther yet. I actually don't care much for superhero movies. I know that sounds strange. You would think someone in martial arts would love them. I never got into comics or superheroes, so I have not seen Black Panther, and I haven't really watched many superhero movies. I don't know. I couldn't comment on the martial arts in those movies because I haven't seen them. I like fantasy movies much more, science fiction movies, documentaries, and I watch YouTube more than, I don't watch much television at all. I don't have much time. Because I'm a musician, I create music in the studio for many hours a day after work. Or I'll relax watching a debate on YouTube or something I can learn from. But I haven't seen Black Panther. I've heard it's really good. Daniel asks, why doesn't your school have bare feet when you train? And where can I get tabby boots? Daniel, I answered the tabby boot question. You can get them on Amazon, eBay. I get mine from a Japanese company. Shinobi Gear is a good martial arts site for that. We don't wear bare feet in our dojo because I think it's kind of gross. Daniel, I've learned over the years by having schools that I'm huge on hygiene. And if you've ever trained, you guys out there know what I'm talking about with people who don't take care of their bodies and they have smelly feet and armpits and they smell rank. That is not healthy. There's a ton of bacteria on your feet, and I know that a lot of gyms train with bare feet, and that's, of course, they can do that. But I don't allow bare feet on our mat. I think it's gross. So for us, I don't want anyone to get ringworm or anything bizarre. And I know it's fairly low probability, but I've seen it happen, and it's really disgusting. And the last thing you want is to be practicing someone when they have their dirty foot in your face. It's really a turn-off. So at our dojo, you have to wear a minimum of socks on your feet or some sort of shoe on your feet. We wear indoor tabby in our dojo. I know that's a bit odd. And I encourage people to wear and to buy indoor tabby with cotton soles because rubber soles will scuff up the mats and they hold your feet to the mat. They don't allow you to use proper taijutsu when you have a wrestling shoe on. You tend to stick where you move your feet, and that is not good for taijutsu. So I recommend people occasionally train with socks on or a cotton sole where you can slide around a little bit. But we don't allow bare feet in this dojo. And we mop our mats a lot. Ryan McDevitt writes, hey, I love your videos. Have you considered maybe having, again, paid videos online or online training classes? I live in Canada in an area where no dojos exist or teachers. Thank you for your time. Ryan in Canada, again, we do not have online training courses. I don't expect us to do that. I just don't have the time where I'm running a full-time school. There's a tremendous amount of stuff to do for the students, and I can't oversight what I do here for the online community. Although I wish I had more time, I would do something. But maybe in the future, never say never. But Ryan, if you live in Canada, at least do some solo practice. Again, you can get our DVDs on eBay, or find a teacher or a couple friends where you can train. read books, whatever you can do. Find some trees as training partners. Don't let the seclusion of where you live hinder your progress. Last question. Mike asks, what is next for media? Mike, as far as media, we've been very busy at the dojo here with graduations and the seminar we just did with Arno from Europe who came over. I did a 2-hour interview with him on the Bujinkan and the future of it. So that will be finished editing within the next month. That might become a DVD. I may put parts of it up on YouTube, but it's over 2 hours long, the interview I did with him at my house. But there's a lot of good stuff in there, so I don't want to edit out anything. That's a 2-hour interview with a master of martial arts, so there's a lot of good philosophy in there. That will be coming. We have a pistol disarm seminar in a few weeks here at the dojo. That will probably become a DVD soon. It's not easy disarming guns, and that's a really touchy subject nowadays, but it's a very important subject. If someone has a gun to your head and they don't intend on hurting you, how do I disarm that gun, or at least get myself in a safe position? We will address that in March. So look for that DVD maybe in the spring. I'm also working on finishing a level 2 curriculum. We finished our level 1 curriculum here at the dojo called Striking the Tree. That's all of our level 1 techniques, and level 2 is much larger. We have another 35 or 40 techniques for level 2. But that is basically a dojo supplement here for members of our dojo. If they want to see a technique and reference it in our written curriculum, they can go back and watch the DVD and see the physical technique and how we break it down for them to earn their next belt here. And then we'll work on a level 3 curriculum as well, probably in the summertime. I'm also working on finishing writing the Hanbok Kihon DVD. I've finished the sword, bow staff, Hanbok. I've been getting a lot of requests to do the short Hanbok stick, so because it's a very practical, streetwise weapon, I think that'll be the next one that we'll do, so look for that soon. I'm really busy with a lot of stuff. I'm also working on my next album for music. I think that's enough, you guys. That's a lot of questions I answered. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time, boring you. But these questions are common, they're good. A lot of people ask them, and I'm happy that we can answer them once in a while. I don't answer questions a lot, but maybe once a month we can do this. A lot of you out there write the same questions, so I don't answer all of them, but I answer the ones that I feel have some relevance to the audience listening. That's it, you guys. Wherever you are, I hope that you continue to train in your dojo. If you don't have one. Find a qualified teacher in your area. Celebrate the fact that we're alive and that we can do martial arts. Keep the brotherhood and sisterhood alive. Try not to trash talk your friends. Don't trash talk each other on Instagram and YouTube. Be kind to your fellow training partners and ukes. Stay out of trouble. Preach nonviolence whenever possible. Continue to read and study all different types of martial arts. Build philosophy into your program. And just continue to keep martial arts alive. In a society where people dabble and they tend to have kind of an ADD and they don't stick with things, they don't want to master anything anymore, try to keep old style martial arts alive and well into this century so that we don't lose all of those generations of teachings from all of the people from the Far East who bring us great purpose and meaning in this current lifetime. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.